Previously on Perihelion, the ship is built. The fuel is ready. Dot arrived and changed everything, fixing what they couldn't fix, showing them the planet's timeline, earning her place among them. But Iola has been watching. And in her final log entry, she wrote, "The most important question is, who is she? I will have both answers before we go." Year 2, month 6, final week. The planet was different now. Not suddenly, it had been changing by degrees. But in this final week before launch, the change had become undeniable. The ground tremors came 3-4 times a day. The northern gas vents had multiplied. The bioluminescent garden, which May had tended with such care across 2 years, had gone dark at the edges. The biological light dying outward from the zones closest to the fault line. May documented it. She did not pull anything up. She let it die naturally, because that is what you do with something you cannot save. You record it faithfully, and you let it go. The air was different too. A trace mineral quality that wasn't there before. Something the planet was exhaling as it opened itself from the inside. Iola was at the scanner array before sunrise. She had been waking earlier each day. She told the others it was because she wanted to log the atmospheric readings before the daily tremors distorted the data. This was true. It was not the whole truth. She was watching Dot, not with suspicion. She had moved past suspicion. With the particular focused attention of someone who has almost assembled a picture and is waiting for the last piece. She watched Dot emerge from her vessel at dawn. Dot always rose before anyone else, another parallel the others had noticed but not said aloud. Watched her walk a perimeter of the camp with the efficiency of long habit. Watched her go directly to the ship and run her hand along the hull the way someone touches something they built. Not checking it, claiming it. Iola wrote, "She moves through this camp as if she has been here longer than we have, because she has. She touches the ship the way Bess does, from the inside out, not admiring it, knowing it. She fixed the fuel system using a methodology Kay developed over 9 months. Kay has told no one else how she approaches that problem. The documentation has never left this camp. The only way to know Kay's methodology is to have watched Kay work for months. She was in the tree line for months before she came to us, watching. But that's not when it started." Iola stopped writing, looked at her notes from the past 3 weeks. Every interaction with Dot, every inexplicable competency, every moment of recognition where a word or concept landed faster than it should have for someone learning a language from scratch. She drew a line under the last page. She wrote one word. Earlier. Iola had been inside the vessel once before. A brief, invited look in the first week. Today, she went back. She knocked. Dot appeared. Watched Iola's face, reading the intention there. "I need to ask you something," Iola said slowly, directly. "And I need you to understand it's not a threat. It's a question. Just a question." Dot held her gaze. "You know our fuel system. You know our ship configuration. You used repair techniques on the hull that are specific to Eden Beta's engineering manual, not general principles, the specific manual. You understood Bess's shorthand from the first week. You adjusted her weight calculations using our measurement system. Our measurement system, not a universal one. Ours." She let that sit. "I think you've been speaking less than you can. I think you've understood more than you've shown. I think you know where we're from because you came from there too." Dot looked at her. Something in her face, the careful, considered expression she always carried, shifted, not broke, shifted, as if a decision that had been weighing on her had finally been made. She stepped back from the doorway. She let Iola in. Inside, the vessel was spare. Long years of survival had reduced everything to what was necessary and nothing more. Equipment she had built herself from Draken materials, stores, a sleeping area, one personal space, a small ledge near the viewport, where a few objects were arranged with a care that suggested they mattered more than anything else here. Iola looked at the objects on the ledge. She didn't touch them. Dot watched her look. Then she went to the ledge. She picked up the object at the center, a flat case the size of a hand, made from Draken materials, but with a clasp that was unmistakably Eden Beta manufacture. She held it for a moment. Then she opened it. Inside, a document, pressed flat, preserved with the deliberate care of someone who had kept it safe for a very long time. The edges were worn. The material had yellowed slightly, but the print was legible. Dot held it out to Iola. Iola took it, read it. It was a mission identification document. Eden Beta Colonial Exploration Division. Expedition 7 Gamma. Departure year. Iola did the math. 14 years ago. The name on the document read, Dorothy Vaughn, Chief Engineer and Navigator. Iola read it. She read it again. She looked up at Dot. Dot was watching her with those Draken-adapted eyes, darker, wider, and in them Iola found something she recognized, the look of someone who has been waiting for a very long time to be known. Dorothy, Iola said, barely above a whisper. Dot didn't move, but something in her face, something that had been braced for a long time, released. Dot, she said quietly, carefully, the most words she had said at once. She called me Dot. She was finding the shape of the sentence. Minty called me Dot. I think I like it better. Iola called them all together at midday. She waited until everyone was there. Kay, Bess, May, Minty, and then she looked at Dot, who was standing at the edge of the group. I'm going to tell you what I know, Iola said, and I'd like Dot to fill in what I get wrong. She looked at Dot. Is that all right? Dot nodded. She had chosen to speak now. The choice was visible in her posture. The careful, held-back quality she always carried had changed. She was present in a different way. 14 years ago, Eden Beta launched an exploration mission, Iola said. Expedition 7 Gamma. 7 crew members, including their chief engineer and navigator. The mission went off course. The official record lists the entire crew as lost. No signal was received. No wreckage was found. The expedition was declared a total loss, and the file was closed. She looked at Dot. The chief engineer's name was Dorothy Vaughn. You, Bess said, after a long moment. Dot met her eyes, nodded. You've been here since before 14 years, Dot said, finding the words slowly. On Drakan, 14 years. The number landed differently when she said it. The rest of your crew, May began, very softly. Dot shook her head. Small, final. You were alone, Minty said. She had not spoken yet. She had been very still. For 14 years. Not alone, Dot said after a pause. She looked at the tree line, at the planet around them. She searched for the word. Draken. I had Draken. They sat with this. The fire burned. The fuel system, Kay said, working through it the way she worked through everything. How did you know my methodology? I watched you, Dot said slowly, from the tree line, for a long time, before I came. You remind me of someone I worked with. Same way of thinking. I learned your method the way I learned hers. Who? A small, complicated expression crossed Dot's face. She was on my crew, Expedition 7 Gamma. She was very good. Kay absorbed this. The panel work, Bess said. The weld corrections. I was a chief engineer for 9 years before the expedition, Dot said. I know ships. She was almost dry when she said what came next. I had time to practice on my own. The port interface, Bess said quietly. In year 1. Dot nodded. You've been working on our ship since year 1. I wanted you to leave. She stopped, started again. I wanted you to be able to leave. And I wanted to go with you. Why didn't you tell us sooner? Minty said finally. The question was not angry. It came from a very deep place. Dot looked at her. I tried before to tell people. I couldn't make anyone understand. The language, she touched her throat. 14 years. It went somewhere. Deep. I had to find it again. And she stopped. Tried again. I didn't know if you would believe me. If you would, she searched for the word. Want me? What do you mean you tried to tell people? Minty asked. Before you, there were others, ships. 3 times in 14 years, ships passed near Draken or entered the atmosphere. I tried to reach them. They didn't land. Or they landed, and she shook her head. I couldn't reach them in time. No one looked for you, Minty said very quietly. The record says we were lost. Lost means gone. They don't look for gone. Minty was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was entirely level because she was working to keep it that way. I have a daughter. She's 8. I have been here for almost 2 years, and I have thought about her every single day. And that has been... She stopped. 2 years. 14. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Dot looked at her. In Dot's expression was something that had no simple name. Not pity, not kinship exactly. Recognition. The recognition of someone who has carried the same weight for so long, it has become part of their skeleton. You will see her again, Dot said quietly. I know, Minty said. I know this planet, Dot said. And now she was not being gentle. She was being precise. I know how it ends, and I know the window. I came to you because the window is coming. I came because you have a ship. I came because... She looked at all of them. I have been waiting for this for 11 years. Kay and Dot, alone that afternoon, with the fuel calculations and the atmospheric data spread between them. Dot was speaking more freely now, not fluently, not without gaps, but more, as if telling the truth had unlocked something. You mentioned the window before, Kay said, in the survey zone with May. You showed her 11 pebbles. 11 years watching the deterioration, Dot said. Yes. And there's a launch window connected to the collapse. When a planet of this mass enters terminal geological collapse, the gravitational field changes, becomes uneven. There are points where it weakens along the equatorial band. She drew it, a circle, zones marked along its equator. During that phase, maybe 72 hours, maybe 90, a vessel with sufficient thrust can exit the gravitational field through the weakened zones. Before the collapse, Kay said, not during. If you wait until the collapse is visually obvious, the major eruptions, the surface fractures, the debris field in the upper atmosphere makes exit impossible. You have to go before it looks that bad. It is always going to look too early. You have to go anyway. How do you know this? Kay asked, studying the diagram. I tried, Dot said. Your vessel. Year 7. I had built something, not like your ship, smaller, enough for one person. I calculated the window from observation data. I launched. I reached the upper atmosphere. The gravitational field was weaker, as I predicted. But my thrust was not enough for the distance. I ran out of burn before I cleared the field. She went quiet for a moment. I came back down. The vessel didn't survive the second landing intact. She looked at the diagram. Your ship has more thrust than mine did. Your fuel compound is better than what I had. I've been over your calculations. You can make it, but only through the window. And the window? She looked at Kay. How long do we have? Kay asked. She already knew the shape of the answer. The tremor frequency tells me we are close to the threshold phase. When the deep fault activates, when you feel a tremor that is longer and different from the others, a resonance rather than a shake. The window opens approximately 48 hours after that, and closes 96 hours after it opens. So we have 48 hours of warning, Kay said, and then 96 hours to launch. Do not wait for the middle of the window, Dot said very directly. Do not wait for ideal conditions. The moment the window opens, you go. Because you waited, Kay said quietly. Dot held her gaze. Because I waited. Kay laid it out for the group on the ridge. All 6 of them, facing the same horizon. The window, the timing, the threshold tremor, the 48 hours of warning, the 96 hours to launch. The ship is ready, Bess said before Kay finished. It needs to be more than ready, Kay said. It needs to be launch ready on 2 hours' notice, anytime, day or night. Bess looked at the ship below, ran through her closeout list in her head. Give me tonight, she said. You have tonight. The fuel load is complete, Minty said. I verified it this morning. May was looking out at the planet. The formation's in the northwest. I want to do one last survey. Document the final state before... She stopped herself. Before we go. Is there anything from your vessel you want to bring? Iola asked Dot. Anything you want to take with you? Dot looked at her. She had thought about this for a long time, and also not at all. One thing, she said. Dot went back to the small ledge near the viewport. She opened the flat case again. She took out the mission identification document. She folded it carefully. The practiced fold of someone who had folded this paper 10,000 times and tucked it inside her jacket. She looked around the vessel, at what she had built, at the 14 years of survival it represented. She picked up one other thing from the ledge, a small object, handmade, Draken materials, shaped into something that might be decorative or might be useful or might be neither. Might just be the thing you make when you have been alone for a very long time and your hands need something to do. She put it in her pocket. She took one last look around. Then she walked out. She didn't close the hatch behind her. There was no one left to close it for. The last fire, all 6 of them, and the planet around them was vivid in a way it hadn't been before. The bioluminescence that was dying in some places was surging in others, as if Draken was making itself beautiful one last time. The sky layered amber and violet, and that almost purple that had started this whole thing 2 years ago, when they had sat around a different fire and looked up and had no words for what they were seeing. Minty said nothing. She had Zola's drawing folded inside her jacket. The 47 species I named, May said to Dot, after people I missed. I named one after you, before I knew who you were. A small smile. It's the one that glows at night, the one that's been here the whole time. Dot looked at her. It'll keep growing after we're gone, May said. Yes, Dot said quietly. Dracan will grow without us. She looked at the bioluminescent pulses in the distance. It doesn't need us. It never did. For the record, Bess said, out of nowhere, "You're a better engineer than Gerald Draken was too." A beat. "Gerald Draken is a person?" Dot asked. "He was. Unfortunately." Something flickered in Dot's expression, the almost smile of someone who has forgotten what it feels like and is remembering. "You named the planet after a person. An ex-husband, specifically. Why?" "Beautiful, terrifying, pulls you in without asking permission," Bess said. Dot looked at the planet around them, the amber sky, the dying formations, the vivid bioluminescent pulse of a world that had caught them and held them for 2 years. "Yes," she said quietly, "that is fair." The laughter was easier than it had ever been. All 6 of them, around a fire on a planet that was ending, laughing at something that was genuinely funny. It faded, settled. "When we get to Eden Beta," Iola said to Dot, carefully, "the record says Expedition 7 Gamma was a total loss. You were listed as dead." "You aren't." "No," Dot said after a long pause. "There are people who will need to know what happened to you, what happened to your crew." Iola held up her logs, 10 of them, worn at the spines, 2 years of everything. "I've been writing everything down. For 2 years. Everything on Draken. Everything we built. Everything we found. I'd like to write your story too, if you'll let me." Dot looked at the logs, at Iola. "My crew," she said quietly. "Will you write them?" "Every one of them," Iola said without hesitation. Dot nodded, slowly. "Then yes." Bess was alone at the ship. The last check. She walked every panel, every join, every seal. Her checklist was complete. Everything was as right as she could make it. She stopped at the bow of the ship, the place she always stopped, the front of the thing she had built, the point that would meet the sky first. She put her hand on the hull. "You're going to do something remarkable tomorrow," she said very quietly, "or the day after, or whenever this planet tells us it's time. You were built by 5 women who had nothing. You were fixed by a 6th who'd been alone for 14 years. You are carrying the weight of everything we want to get back to. Don't let us down." She took her hand off the hull. She looked at the sky. She went to bed. 3 days later, the threshold tremor came at the 4th hour. It was different. Dot said it would be different, and she was right. Not a shake, but a resonance, something deep and fundamental, as if the planet's core was speaking instead of stuttering. It lasted 11 seconds, 12, 13, and then it stopped, and the ground beneath them felt different, not unstable, changed, as if a lock had turned inside it. All 6 of them were awake, standing outside, looking at each other. "That's it," Dot said, certain, immediate. 48 hours, Kay said, already moving. "I'm starting pre-launch," Bess said, already at the ship. "Are you ready?" Iola asked Dot. Dot looked at the planet around her. 14 years. Every tremor she had felt, every season she had weathered, every night she'd built something with her hands to keep herself from disappearing into the silence. "I have been ready for 11 years, she said quietly. She picked up her case. She walked toward the ship. Minty stood at the edge of the camp for one last moment, looking at the fire pit, the garden that glowed in the dark even as it died, the shelters they had built from nothing. She breathed. She walked. The planet trembled once beneath them, gentle now, almost like a farewell. 48 hours, one window, no second chances.